that going on.
I find it really interesting.
Okay.
Do you know why I find it interesting? Yeah.
Why?
There's 2 or 3 reasons. Like one of them is split this feminist movement. Yeah. So the feminist movement seems to be divided on the idea of what to do in certain circumstances with transgender people, and it's also split homosexuals. Like, so I feel like some homosexuals. Yeah.
It's split regardless of sexuality. Everyone's gonna have their own opinion.
So can I ask you some questions? Because for me, because I like.
As long as they're not about anything.
No, just trans.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you trans?
Yes, I'm transgender.
Okay.
Female to male.
All right. Okay. Cool. Really? Yeah. Who is trans here? Nice one. All right. Let me ask a question. Then. Do you know what I find interesting? Consider the following scenario, yeah? Because this is where I find the contentious issues are. There are sports out there, like sports, mixed martial arts, football, even rugby, lots of sports, yeah? Where I think society has agreed that one gender has a biological.
Oh yeah, like male football.
Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so males having a biological advantage over females, for example, yeah?
Because males, they're like taller, they're
like
stronger because
muscular.
Yeah, because they're simply even at its stone ages, the women like. The women would stay at home and cook, and the men would go out and hunt, and yes, that has happened.
Exactly. So now let me put you in a certain situation and ask you guys a question, right?
Okay.
Say for example you have a trans like yourself,
Yes.
or actually let's make it the opposite way, yeah?
Okay.
So you have someone who's a male
Yes.
who becomes female,
Yes.
all right. Would you protect that person's right
Yes.
to, let's say for example they wanted to participate in sport?
Yeah.
Obviously they're allowed to participate in sport, yeah? All right, so they want to participate in sport. Would you protect their right to, for example, if a man became a woman, because they want to be identified as women, right?
Yeah.
That's it. They don't want to be even known as a man anymore. That's behind them, right?
To participate in a
So
woman's team.
so a man, could they now participate in a woman's side of it?
Yes.
Should they be able to?
Yes.
Okay, now this is the thing, because a lot of feminists would argue that they shouldn't. And those feminists, I'm not saying they're right or wrong, I just want your opinion, right?
Yeah.
Those feminists would argue that, hold on, because actually this is where the lines between what is referred to as a social construction and what's a biological reality become blurred. Because here, we know that testosterone is obviously a hormone which enhances your strength and it enhances your biological abilities, right?
Yes.
So if that is the case, if someone, even if they've had like hormone blockers and if they had like the whole operation and stuff, even if they've had that whole system, you will still have an enhanced hormonal biological advantage from a testosterone perspective, right? So some would argue it's just like taking steroids. Yeah, so like you're not allowed to take steroids in most sports.
Yeah.
So how would you answer?
Where you're coming from.
So they'll say, look, it's not fair for someone who has gone through that whole transformative process, yet retains a lot of the biological advantage of being a man, to be able to participate in a woman-only thing like that. In fact, it could be argued that if they do participate, that would be depreciating from women's rights, because women have a right to fair contest, right?
Yeah.
So can you see the two sides?
Yes.
So okay, tell me how you would resolve it.
I would resolve it by socially, that person is seen as female, and biologically 50% of them are female due to them having hormone blockers and having an operation. Yes, they will retain some of their masculine genes, and they will still have the male chromosome inside them due to them being born a male. But I still think they're still viewed socially as a female, and both biologically inside like themselves view themselves as female. So they should be participating in a female sport. It's basic human
So
rights.
you think that the right of that person to participate in the gender of their chosen gender is it trumps, and we don't like Trump. I think we're both on the same track, but it trumps the advantage that they may get.
It would depend on the person because
Okay.
not all men are really masculine. Some men are really slow, some men are quite fast, some men are very smart but not very strong. So I think personally it would depend on the person's attitudes towards them. If they were like really strong.
So
really
do you think
fast,
it
unlike
should
the
be case
other-
by case or something?
Yes.
But do you know what that
because-
would suggest then? Because if we had it that way,
Yeah.
then you'd have some women.
Would be on the male side. And
Yeah, yeah.
some
But the
men
point
on
is
the
this:
women's side.
then discrimination would still exist against transgendered people then, because some people will be judged as
Based on their physical.
yeah. So this guy's got this woman right
Yeah.
has too much testosterone in her body.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So the issue is here.
Yeah.
It seems like a question with no answer. You see what I mean?
Pardon? Sorry, I was just.
It seems like a question
Yes.
with no answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you very much.
That's
Sorry,
right.
I must be the last
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. You get me?
I do.
You get me? Okay, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Let me ask you another question. Now we have boys' schools and girls' schools. Now it's going to become more easy, right? This is easy,
Yeah,
yeah?
I have this at school.
Okay. Are you in school still?
I go to a mixed school, but due to me identifying publicly as transgender, they've appointed me. I can't change in the male locker room simply because of the biology of the males and because I'm female. So instead, they've made the disabled toilets into gender-neutral toilets, so I'm able to go in there.
So what do you think about that?
What do I think about
Yeah.
it? I think that's quite liberating because I don't have to be with the females, but I don't have to be with the males.
you know
so
what?
It is
I like
both
that.
liberating, but also for me it feels a little bit degrading a bit. But I
Yeah.
understand where they're coming from. Because
Right.
if you think about it,
Yeah.
you're not going to have a female, biologically I am female, you're not going to have me changing with a bunch of boys.
Okay, look, hold on. You're Nathan, yeah?
Yeah.
Nathan, I like your thinking in a way, yeah? I like your open-mindedness. I'll be honest with you. I don't find your open-mindedness among other transgenders. Some transgenders
Yeah, some people are very like,
are very
you
militant.
can't say that, that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I think your approach is a bit more fresh because frankly, we live
I have
at
a very open mind. I know some
Yeah.
people will be transphobic, some people
Yeah.
oh yeah, I support you. I'm like, that's fine,
no,
you
look,
can have your own opinion.
look, that what you've said there
Yeah.
is fair enough considering your circumstance. Let me tell you why. Because frankly, if we're living in this is the age we're living in now, right?
Yeah.
We're living in an age where it's very possible for there to be some kind of policy change
Yeah.
where now, because this is one of the contentious ones, like where do we put like for example, a transgendered man at one point, so someone who's has had a sex change and become a woman, yeah? At what point should they be allowed into the women's toilet?
They should be allowed into the toilets.
As soon as they identify.
Yeah. Because
Okay, let me ask, I want to get all of their opinions though. Guys, can I get your opinion on something, yeah?
A male to female, male to female,
Yeah.
they identify as female, should they be able to use the female toilet
As soon as they've identified.
as soon as they've identified or had a sex change.
So
I
let me
say
challenge you on that
I
then.
said that they should be able to use the toilet.
So let me challenge you on that, right? So for example, if and it's maybe a bit difficult, if I had to do a sex change, I think I'd be I'd have a serious advantage. Let's be honest.
You would, you're really cool.
And it wouldn't be an easy operation. Anyways, the point is this. If somebody transferred from being a man to a woman, only by virtue of just actually saying that I'm a woman now, yeah? You're saying that the point at which they should be allowed into the woman's toilet is the point to which that they identify, yeah?
See, people in the LGBT community all have different opinions.
Are you LGBT as well?
Yeah.
In what way?
I'm not trans, I'm gender fluid.
What does that mean? Can you tell me?
So some days we feel male, and then other days we feel female.
No way.
Some days
Really,
we
yeah?
Some days we even like not feel any gender.
Yeah.
We gender neutral.
What do you mean by, okay, hold on. This is really interesting, this one here. No, hold on. You see this question of, we'll put it on the side for a second. This gender fluidity here, I'm going to actually challenge you a little bit on it.
Okay, come on.
Okay, let's challenge her on it a little bit. Yeah? You said some days you feel male
Yes.
and some days you feel female.
Yes.
Okay, do you accept that notions of masculinity and femininity are social constructs?
No, it's fine. I understand you're trying to record. It's fine.
Are you with me? Listen to me carefully. Do you accept that notions of femininity are social constructs? In other words, you would argue, right, that the idea of woman preferring pink or the idea of women being in the house or kitchen, all that stuff, that's a social construct based on the patriarchal society, right? Okay, you accept this?
Yes.
All right. Ideas of masculinity, therefore, are also socially constructed.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, you accept that, yeah?
Yes.
All right. If you accept that, which, by the way, personally, I don't accept it completely. I think there is some truth in it. I don't completely accept it. But if you accept that, if you're...
Oh, I feel you meant like...
Okay.
I understand what
Can you
they're
see my
saying.
question, right?
Yeah.
My question here is going to be, how do you define gender fluidity when gender has lost meaning? Because there is no such thing as... If femininity and masculinity are social constructs, then you can't say I feel masculine or I feel feminine, because both of those things are subjective value judgments which are socially constructed reality. Maybe it is the case that gender fluidity is a social constructed reality. How do you know that what you're going through is not socially constructed?
I haven't been gender fluid for very long, so...
How do you know it's gender fluidity and it's not just hormonal, that your mood swings, that literally you feel angry at one point and that you don't, how do you know? How would you be able to differentiate between those things?
See, with me...
How do you know, like, for example, when did you feel manly? When did you feel like a man?
Like, with me, I don't think I'm a proper gender fluid. Because, like, there are some people that think yeah, I'm not, like, I'm questioning still.
Okay, fine. But what you say you're gender fluid, yeah?
Yeah.
Those days where you feel like a man, to put it crudely, obviously that has socially, constructed implications. Are you gender fluid as well? Are you gender fluid? Okay, I can ask you both. Those days you feel like a man. First of all, how do you know you feel like a man?
It's just like, it may seem like hormonal changes, but you actually feel more masculine, even if it has...
What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you do? Stick with me, because this is interesting for me. Go ahead. You feel more masculine, so tell me what that means.
It's hard to explain, really. It's just like... It's hard to explain. It's just, you know when you feel like masculine and you know when you feel feminine.
So tell me like how? So tell me what you feel.
It's hard to explain, it really is.
So give me some things that you feel when you feel masculine.
Like, when you feel masculine, like,
Yeah.
you may seem like you don't really want to wear any girly clothes, you don't want to do anything like that.
Well, hold on.
Described as girly, you may
Yeah.
not want to
Yeah.
do any of that.
You don't want to do that, yeah.
You may like emotionally or physically feel male.
Like in what way? Like what?
It's hard to
Aggression or
It's hard to explain, that's what I'm trying to say.
is it? So, okay, let's stick with what you said, right? Clothes.
It's not to do with like clothes.
Okay.
That's like one of the small fractions. It's really hard to explain, really. You have to experience it to really know how it feels.
Okay, but I'm a man, right?
Yeah.
I identify as a man,
Yeah.
so I know how it feels to be a man, because that's all I have experience of. Yeah? I've only got experience of being a man. Tell me what emotions we're talking about here. That those days you feel a bit gender fluid, a bit manly. Tell me those things.
It's hard.
Just give me one emotion, just one.
Oh, I can't think. I'm on the spot here.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry. There's no wrong answer. There's zero wrong answer.
When I'm feeling like more like into the male gender, I feel like I want to be around more people who like I'll know are more like me, like as a male.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're a girl, you want to be around more like other girls, more people who like understand you. But if you're like around a man, then you may have some female friends, but you feel more like set into a group. Like you feel more like manly or other group of your gender.
Yeah.
What do you do activity-wise? That's more. What like do you do anything that as an activity that's more?
I'm biologically a girl, but like when I feel like more masculine, I'll usually like go out, do more sports, hang out with more like my male
I see.
friends.
You want to be more around the males, so you feel distant
But
from
when I feel like more
females.
female, I'd rather stay away from them.
So let's get these girls involved as well, because I want to know if you share similar. Because honestly, I'm learning from you guys. Don't take this. I'm not like. Do you get me? I'm just because I haven't met my whole life. I've met everyone. I've met everyone, but I've not met gender fluid. So that's why I'm having this. No, I haven't. I'm not there yet.
Asexuals?
Asexuals.
Asexuals.
No, I think I've met some of those. They don't want to have.
They don't
Is
wanna
it asexual? They don't have sexual intercourse.
They don't have sexual intercourse.
Yes.
They're in a relationship.
I've met some people that claim to be like this, right? But I never believed them.
There are some that say they're asexual
Right.
and they totally aren't.
My question, right, is this. She was saying, and I want her to pay attention. Shall I call you her or him?
I don't mind.
Okay, that's cool. Then that makes it easier for me. I called him. See, I'm trying to interchange it. I'm trying to mix it up a little. Listen, because we're trying to get to the bottom of something. I said to her, like, what is how do you feel when you're like basically having your male day? So she goes things like, okay, I'm into more like male groups, playing sports a bit more, things like that. So does that resonate with you a little bit, or what? Well, how do you feel?
See, because I'm still questioning my gender.
Yeah.
See, most of the days I feel female because that's the gender I was assigned
Right,
to.
right. When you feel female,
Yeah.
what do you feel like? What kind of things do you feel? Like, what activities do you do? You were asking activities as well. Yeah.
What do you do that makes you feel female?
Yeah.
See, with me, I believe that any gender can do any activity they want to.
Yeah, of
they
course.
do not have their assigned activities. Like back in the day, females just have to stay home.
And
cook,
this and
climb
that.
up the-
Yeah. So, but now, how do you feel like when you're female? What do you feel?
When I mean activity, also your actions.
How do you know you're female?
What do you do? The way you act
Yeah.
around people as well. Like what do you do that a man would do that a female wouldn't action wise? You know what I mean? Are you more? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But with me, I don't really act differently. But sometimes there are some activities, like even though I think it's wrong.
Can you tell me some of them?
See, when I feel female, I do a lot of cooking.
That's a joke. No.
Not in a bad way.
No. Go on.
No, I do contradict myself. Even though I say we don't have a specific.
You heard it here first, folks. No, I'm joking. All right.
Yeah, no, even though I don't agree with gender roles, I still do gender roles because, like, with me when I play football and other sports like that, I don't really like because with me, like, I'm being honest, I don't like exercising.
All right.
Because like being female, it's like I'm gonna say this like.
Yeah. Don't worry. Be open.
The female body.
Okay.
You see with our breasts, it's very annoying. Let me just say
When you're
that.
playing sports and stuff. I've heard that before.
See, and then like when I'm male, I like binding my chest.
Yeah, it's like this girl. What you call it? I'm not sure if you've heard of her. She's a feminist writer. Her name is Ngozi.
No, I don't pay attention.
She wrote a book and she was talking about the things that women are inhibited from doing because of their physical breasts. And she mentioned that one of those things is sports because of their physical breasts and stuff. So yeah, it's a good point.
Like when I was in primary school, we used to have to run, and not like even though if I was wearing a sports bra, they would still move.
Yeah.
And most women feel like men look at themselves when their things are moving.
I get you, yeah. All right, can I ask you another question though, yeah?
Yeah.
Since you guys are gender fluid, on a serious level, like I just want to ask, I want to understand. Right now, I'm in a position of understanding. You're teaching me, you're the teacher, I'm the learner, I'm the questioner, yeah? The question is this, you know when you say them days you feel like you're gender fluid, you feel like a male.
Yes.
Would you go as far as to say, and there's no right and wrong answer, it's just your opinion. Would you go as far as to say that we should be afforded the right to participate with males, like for example in sports or even...
See, gender difference will have different aspects of you on this thing. But with me, I wouldn't really, because I don't feel like, because I haven't had the sex change, and I feel wrong. I feel like it would be...
But you know what, when I asked you before, basically at what point should males that are having, because this goes back to the question we had before, you were hearing it, when I said that if a male describes now, like he's not had the sex change per se, but now they identify themselves as female, should they be allowed in the female toilets? And most of you said, yeah, it should be, yeah? You said that, yeah?
Yeah.
So, alright, so cool.
I can't, like, with me, I have different opinions.
Okay, so what's your opinion? She's saying, yeah, she's very strong about it.
Yeah, you will be very strong about it. I know. That's because I am. You will. Yeah.
Are you transgender? Okay, so what? So can you explain to me how? Because it's all.
I don't look at the moment. I have a lot of makeup on and stuff.
No, are you male to female or female to male?
Female to male. I want to do male, but
Okay,
so me personally, well, it sort of depends because of social problems and stuff. But
Right.
if I'm at for example, a youth club or something,
Yeah.
I will go into the male's toilets because it's just what I'm more comfortable
Okay,
with.
can I play devil's advocate for you guys a little
Yeah,
bit?
of course.
All right. So someone could argue that here, if someone, because I'm assuming your ingenuity. I believe you're genuine. Yeah, obviously, right? But other people might not be genuine. Like, for example, my man here, right? Okay, I'm not going to use it as an example. Okay, my man here, right?
Yeah.
He might have this crush on a girl.
Yeah.
He might want to just spy on someone, right? He identifies himself as a female for about a week. Okay, now, no, seriously, this is a case because if we're talking about...
Yeah, I have seen.
Do you get what I mean? So that person hasn't had the sex change, she puts on a wig or something, and goes into the female toilet.
Yeah, we've got wigs on.
We do.
Yeah, no, but goes into the female toilet.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
So,
See, with me, I think England needs a lot more gender neutral.
Yeah, I think there should be a lot more gender
Girls, can I
neutral.
ask you a question myself?
yeah, please ask him.
What I want to say is, I'm the kind of guy, when I look at people, I analyse them. Not in an offensive way, I sense insecurity. But I got one question.
Massively, yeah.
I got one question.
Yeah.
Are you all single?
I recently have just become single.
Are you all single?
I've been single.
Okay, I personally feel that if you were in, I feel like you've had bad experience with males, and I personally feel that if, especially yourself, if you, the way your eyes are moving, the way I personally believe that if you had a boyfriend, that would completely take away your gender fluidity. And I'm not saying go get a boyfriend because you can't. Do you know what I mean? I'm not encouraging you to, but however, I believe if each and one of you had a man that made you feel like you was a woman, it would go down the drain. 100%, completely.
But she feels like she's saying
I
that.
prefer to be a man there. But I that has.
How do you?
totally
Okay,
nothing
can
to
I
do with
ask
my
you a question,
sexuality.
right?
Yeah.
You say you prefer to be a man.
Yes.
What does it mean to be a man?
That's hard to explain.
It is
actually.
really hard
That
to
is
explain.
really
Because you
hard
know
to
what? Can I
explain.
tell you something philosophically?
Yes.
I will say to you that I don't believe you
Yeah.
fully. I'll tell you why. Right. Being a man
Yeah.
is a first-person subjective experience.
Yeah.
Okay? You can only know how it feels like to be a man if you are a man biologically.
Yeah. Like
Okay?
born,
Would you accept
yeah.
that?
Yeah. I agree
All right,
with
fine.
that.
So if you feel, because this is one thing that we were talking about now, because it's the idea of, and this is a philosophical thing, nature versus nurture, right? Naturally, we're born in certain ways, and then we have to work out as sociologists or psychologists or whatever it is, at one point, at what juncture, do we believe that society has had an influence on human beings' thinking? The reason why I kept asking you guys about masculinity and when you, because you guys are gender fluid and you're obviously transgender, yeah? At what point do you feel like a man or woman? And you said, okay, well, when I cook, I feel more like a woman. When I play football, I feel more like a man. You said that, did you get me? Like, I feel like I want to be a man. I don't know what it is, but...
It's for quite a while now. It's just sort of been. I think it's more a look thing and like a feeling of like I generally have really bad gender dysphoria and body dysphoria, and body dysphoria for me is my weight, but gender dysphoria for me is my general genitals.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand this. I empathize with that. But what I'm saying to you is that this idea of first-person experience is important. Like, for example, before I came here today, I was watching this thing. There's a new robot called Sophie.
Right.
Have you seen the Sophie?
Yeah.
It looks very. Go home and watch. Watch Sophie. Right. Sophie is one of the most, probably the most like interesting looking robots, human-like robots. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with the AI.
Now.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about. You can ask Sophie questions, Sophie will answer, but it's a robot. At the end of the day, artificial intelligence at its highest, but still, now,
wants a baby.
if someone came to you and said, no, hold on, and this is not to take away from how you feel, by the way, yeah, right? If someone came to you and said, I want to feel like, I feel like Sophie, I feel like a robot, what would you say to them? No, honestly.
I'd say I'm going to respect you on that.
You wouldn't
but
respect?
I would generally respect someone. I'd be like, okay, go for it.
No, that's fine. I respect them as well for that.
Yeah.
No problem. You see your life, no issues. Question is, would you believe them? In other words, is there a way that they could know how it feels like to be like Sophie?
No way.
Okay, if I ask you a question now, let's go one step further. If you have, and I'm not comparing this before anyone says anything, I'm not comparing this. Let's say, for example, I say, look, I want to be like a rhino. Or do you know what I did? At one point, when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of like animal documentaries and that. And I was particularly fascinated with the lion.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking
I know
about.
what you're going
You know
to
what
get
I'm
into.
If I was to be any animal, I'd probably be a lion. Why? Because king of the jungle,
Yeah.
he's got the ability to tear down his opponent. He doesn't have to be as big as them.
Yeah.
And look at them lion. It looks beautiful, man.
Yeah.
But the question is, could I ever know how it feels like to be a lion?
Of course not, but you could act like a lion, I suppose.
If I act like a lion,
Dress like one.
You do have
so
people that
if,
go
if,
around.
if,
Yeah, there is
if I ask the people to call me Lion H, that's my name now, Lion H, I want to make this part of the...
They'd be like, go on, Lion H, go on, you do it.
Be very supportive.
Okay, fine. The point being is this. At what point, and this is a question, it's an open question, guys, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not trying to...
Yeah, no, you get it.
But I'm just saying, at what point does society actually say, but hold on, that's how you feel you want to be, that's how you... And that is actually... I'm not going to use the word delusional at all, right? But that is a thought process, which is a faulty cognition of some sort, which needs to be remedied. So at what point, do we call it gender neutrality or gender... At what point do you guys think that it's actually more advisable to remind... This is my question. At what point is it more advisable to remind human beings of their biological sex, if any? And if not, then does biological sex have anything to do with defining human beings as who they are?
I think biologically, yeah, Viva.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, because it seems like, for me, it seems like a catch-22 situation. Why? If you say that, okay, gender fluid, I feel man sometimes, I feel like a woman. You're born as a biological woman.
Yes.
I'll say that from your first person subjective experience, you can never actually feel how it is to be a man unless you are a man, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Biologically.
yeah.
Biologically. Now, if you say, no, hold on, because I feel like playing more sports some days and cooking at other
I
days.
think it's more like of a mentality
Right,
thing.
but then we can turn around and say, well, hold on, that's a social construction of what it means to be a man, and that's a social construction of what it means to be a woman.
Yeah.
So it might
Yeah,
not
I
be.
don't really agree with that
Yeah, fine.
gender role thing.
So so it's the same thing. So someone, do you get what I mean? So that's why the transgender discussion, transsexual discussion is actually a very complicated one.
Yeah.
Under liberalism, not under any other system. Obviously, I'm a Muslim. Do you get me? So, and by the way, it's really interesting because at the time of the Prophet, there were men that had castrated themselves, right? And and he would treat with great respect and whatnot, yeah. But the point is this, that, that's what we believe. We believe in treating everyone with respect. However, the point is this: on transgender debate or transsexual discussion, is it seems like I'm not even thinking about it from religion perspective or whatever. I'm just thinking about it from a sociological perspective. I'm saying it's very difficult for us to assert that, hold on, we should call this person X because they feel like X. When actually feeling like X is socially constructed. Do you get it?
Yeah, I do.
So do you agree with me?
I do, but at the same time, obviously, that's contradicting to myself.